And was it true that Live and Direct was an album that you guys didn't want to do?
No, what happened the year before at the Carnival, there was problems about, people taking longer on stage, and there was a big hassle and a fuss. And the decision was taken to, okay, let's move from the spot because more and more people were wanting to come and play there now. And meanwhile, Gardens was found, and that's where we played. We had the Rolling Stones mobile that was there, and we actually did hope to film it. We wanted to record it both in sound and visuals, but it just got too dark. As I said, it wasn't set up that we had a camera crew. So what I'm saying, by the time evening was coming and it was getting onto that, we could have done it, but it wouldn't have been really good. We had an idea of what we wanted to do, but when we got on stage, a lot of it was improvised.
Like, for instance, the introduction, the meaning of Live and Direct means
Yeah,
live and
yeah,
direct.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Just I don't. I'm very. I like to be in the moment in that time with the audience. So, like a lot of it, the second half, a lot of that. I mean, that's not stuff you could rehearse. That was just there at the moment, at the time, and just go with the flow of the audience. It's been labeled one of the best live albums. So it's we just have to give thanks because I think that captures the energy and spirit of Aswad.
Now, I was always curious about how the arrangements changed over the years during your live performances. Just listening to each rendition of a particular song over the years, like the bass line would change and the key it would change, or you would add a different verse to the song. And how intentional was that? Or was it something that just progressed over time?
I think it's all in the progression, the growth. You know, um, you would find that maybe one day there's a bass line or Tony would touch a bass line and it's like, oh man, that bass you played there, that's and the next time, he drops that bass line. And we were always trying to grow, always trying to improve and make it better. Um, it's not a thing that we sat down and go, okay, we've got to make this better. It was just hearing and just feeling that vibe and oh man, this is sweet. And I think a lot of bands will tell you they record and 2, 3 years later they hear it playing in a different way and you think, oh, this is how we should have recorded it. So I believe it's making yourself open to hear the songs in slightly different ways that just improve it. Hopefully, I mean the bass line of African Children has gone through some changes, and the horn section has gone through some changes. Um, so yeah, like one of the album tracks on the first album, a natural progression.
Exactly. Yeah.
I should have said that first, shouldn't I? But that's the joy of it, you know? That's
Yeah.
the joy of it, of having those changes. I mean, just think if it was the same thing over and over and over again. It's like, in fact, in the live album, a good friend of mine, Tickler Moran, okay? He said, but why, Brins? Every time I see Aswad, they come with a different style. And that's what inspired me to use that during that performance. And I said, every time I see the Aswad, they come a different style. And that's I think what always made the band fresh, excited, and when you come, you don't know what you're gonna get, but you know you're gonna be happy at the conclusion of.
Now, one song in particular that I'm really curious about was Cool Runnings in a West 11 area.
Once again, it was just the vibe about the front line. Um, I lived at 47 West 11, in Laverick Grove, and it was just about time being on the front line and stuff. It was just a vibe, and in fact, when we did that, we've never actually recorded that song. We've never really recorded it in the studio. It was a vibe that we had, and when we went to do the BBC session, it's like, okay, let's do something, let's do a new song, and we just said, oh, let's do that. So we recorded it there and then, and we've never been in studio and recorded it. You won't find that anywhere else apart from on that album.
Yeah, and believe me, I've tried because I was like, there's no way this isn't on an album.
You won't find it. There's even a sound system in Italy that's called Cool Run. It's after that track.
Ah,
So yeah, you won't find that on an album. But maybe I'll do it on my new album that's coming up.
no, I'm really excited to talk about Rebel Souls because personally, that is my favorite album.
As I told you earlier, we did some demos that Richard Williams obviously played to Chris for us to be signed. So when we now did the album, we shouldn't have, but we put two of the demos on that first album instead of re-recording them. When we listen back to them now, we can hear lots of things that were completely wrong with that recording. But at that time we didn't know, we were in our learning phase. And so we re-recorded Rebel Soul. And the album, it got the name from Rebel Soul. So that was the reason that we had redone that track. A lot of people see the cover and it looks a little bit strange. Well, a lot of people don't know what the meaning of that cover was. But the idea that we would have drawn backgrounds and pictures of us that would be animated. So like in Mercy, Mercy Me, we'd be walking along the bottom of the sea. So that was us appearing for the first time, the image that we had. We looked a little bit like, not really spacemen, but we looked like different on the cover. That was the intention of what we were going to do. So there would have been a video, drawn backgrounds with animated photographs of us. So now you probably understand the Rebel Soul cover. Let me add something on that. We recorded that, Mercy, Mercy Me, yes. While recording that, we got the news of the demise of Marvin. So it was, a mystical time.
And 5446, that would be the first song Aswad ever covered, right?
That's the first song that we covered, yeah. Yeah. Toots, I'm a great, so I love Mr. Hibbert and Toots and the Maytals. I saw them many times in England, and he was a great showman. I think if anyone really inspired me as working on stage, Toots can really take that label. And yeah, we just, I think we're just in studio one day, and sometimes you jam something, and it was like, oh, let's do this. And as you say, it was the first time we covered anything.
Now, again, you came in a different style because it wasn't just a plain cover of 5446. You also added 4 different horn phrases from 4 different songs.
But that was it. We loved. We were those times. We were in the dances all the time, man. We just loved that. And that was it. Like you say, when you think about it, it's different horn phrases within that. Yeah. But the thing is, you sometimes you can take it and copy it, or you can take it and make it your own. And I think we took it and made it our own.
Now, Chasing for the Breeze utilized a drum machine, right?
Yes, I believe so. I think it was the advent of the Linn drum. And I remember we did the track, and I remember we were in a dressing room somewhere, and someone came in and said, "Oh, you used the drum machine." And I think we got very defensive and said, "No, we didn't use the drum machine." But when you stop and think about it, the rolls are going on and the drum machine's still going. When you're not sure of how to program. So yeah, I believe that was the first time that we used a Lin. It was the Lin drum machine on that.
And that predates Sling Ting.
It probably does because when we came to Jamaica, they started because of the bass line of that track. They started calling us the computer. Them start the computer thing. Not saying that when we went to Gussie's, we took a whole. I mean, the Winchester Drive. I don't know what to say. It looked like a washing machine. It was the size of a washing machine. Yeah, we took a program with us when we recorded at Slipe Road in Anchor Studios when it was there. We kind of looked at it different. Instead of programming it, we played into the computer. So the drums were played in, the bass line would be played in, and then you could then program and do what you like. But we caught that feeling, that live natural feeling, as opposed to getting on a computer and going tick, 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 and playing that way. Big shout out to Bruno. He's given me some calls and we've ended up doing some videos that were just absolutely wild. He then did all of the Bob's videos. So we did Buffalo Soldier, we did One Love. I remember one day he called me and I was somewhere and he says, listen, I need you. And he was doing the Pogues, right? So I pop up in this Pogues video. No, Bruno's great, man. I love Bruno. He also did Don't Turn Around video.
Do you have any memories of shooting the Buffalo Soldier music video?
I got some. Some would be embarrassing. I remember the person who was supposed to ride the horse. It's for some reason he couldn't ride the horse. So it's me that's riding the horse in Buffalo Soldier. So I remember it was just before lunchtime, and I was just riding the horse, and I gave the horse a kick, and the horse took off. You really needed Mikey Campbell to tell you this story, but I went flying through where everyone was eating, and Mikey said all you could hear was like, "Whoa, whoa." If you imagine at that time, most people that age love cowboys and Indians, right? And to be or experience that, we're all in the soldier's gear or, had a horse to ride, we were firing guns and cannons. Yeah, it was a vibe that took you back to your youth and you were actually doing it. So, yeah, it was a lot of fun doing that. At the end, when we're doing the bit at the end, there's a bit where Bruno says, okay, we're going to have you walk the horse down to the water. And as I'm doing it, I trip and you see me trip, right? It just kicks out. And it's just like everyone noticed that. When they notice that, it's like, yeah, I've been ripped for that so many times. So, yeah.
And then comes To the Top in 1986.
Okay, the album To the Top. We recorded that album with Sid Buckner. Sid Buckner was Coxon's cousin, and I believe he set up Studio One, and he set up the BBMC studio. We recorded that album there, and there was an idea that we would have a competition, and the competition was to do or to draw a picture, and obviously the winning artwork would be put on the album. And the winner of that competition was Tony Forrester. I think on the island, when we licensed it to Ireland, it has a slightly different cover where I think there's Tony with that visual camera trick.
Give Me the Dub was added onto the island.
Added onto it.
Yes. Now, do you recall being part of the BRAFA project in 1985?
Ah, okay. Oh, gosh. Yeah. Oh, my gosh. Okay. Yeah. Let's Make Africa Green Again was the English version.
Yes.
Right. Okay. And I believe we did a show in, if I got that right, that was for a famine. It may not have been the Braffa, but yeah, we did the one in England, and they made one in Jamaica that I recorded in. It was in the Bob Marley studio in Gong when the studio was in Gong, and I remember David Hines and myself doing the harmonies on that. We at that time, most of the TV or new music was played on children's TV programs in England, and a program called 73. It was like a house that you go in and all fun things would be happening in 73. Um, to be honest, at first they didn't really want us to come on the program because the story goes that they're saying, how could kids kind of identify with Three Rasta? They couldn't see it. But because obviously we were sitting like in the number one position, we had to they forced their hand. So we went on the program, all being probably fathers at that point. We had a ball and the kids had a ball with us. And they came back to me and they said, look, could you write us a song for the theme song for the show? And we did a track called 73. Well, they didn't take the track. And we were playing the track in the studio. And I just said, okay, you know what? I have an idea. And I just went into the studio and I started to sing the lyrics for What's Now Bubbling.